because of how important of an asset this is. And it's not about, yes, it's about the dollars, but the dollars don't translate to a savings to the city and county of San Francisco or an increase in the annual service payment to the city and county of San Francisco. What it translates into, not that it's a bad thing, but it's a savings for the airlines. We are what's called a residual financial structured airport. And so the savings would benefit the airline's costs, which, again, not a bad thing, but doesn't benefit the city and county of San Francisco. I'm very respectful and appreciative of the needs of policing of the city and county of San Francisco proper. So I appreciate the stance and the desire of what we're trying to achieve. I'm just looking out for the best interests of all of the travelers and employees at SFO. I'm concerned about what this transition would do to our stance.
So I actually, I guess my second cast for the question was, did you ever bring this idea to the police commission at all? I mean, the airport commission.
I wrote them an off-calendar memo about this and let them know that this was something that was being discussed at the board. I did not solicit any feedback at this point.
Okay, because when you think about it, San Mateo does all the investigations for police arrests there. The sheriff's department has the K-9 unit and they have a SWAT team. I just think part of it is that this board and the city has funded academy classes, which we can't fill, and actually, not only that we can't fill, is that a lot of them don't pass through the academy. I think that when I spoke to the chief, he said 20% do not pass. So you were taking a resource from San Franciscans to the airport, which is covering a job that actually other law enforcement agencies can do. I know that it is hard probably to think outside the box on this. I know that it would be a big switch. To be honest with you, when you talk about travelers from other parts of the world coming here, they do not recognize the difference between someone in blue and someone in green. They are wearing badges and they are wearing firearms. So I just think that it is time that we actually, if we are to look at that we are losing police officers very quickly in San Francisco through retirement, that we will continue to have a hard time to recruit, that the fact that the airport actually takes not new recruits that actually wash out of field training, but takes police officers that are actually tenured, that have passed all the training and are experienced, and they are at the airport. And in this year, 144 arrests. All I'm saying is I think there's time for a conversation here. I think that it's a time for a conversation to think outside the box and think about a different way of doing things. Even last year, the full year, 456 arrests, okay? And when we look at those numbers, sheriff's departments, they also are law enforcement. I'm just trying to see how we can, 53 of the arrests last year were interfering with the business establishment. I think they can handle that. I think entering a real property district without consent, 24, I think they could handle that. Drunk or under the influence, I think they've handled a lot of drunk people. So I'm just going to say that when I look at this whole police funding report, and I've been on the budget now for 3 years, and I see that every year we come back with a staffing issue and we say that they're understaffed. Police are constantly asking for more overtime. They're asking for overtime if we want foot beats. We just don't have the police officers on the streets, and we're trying to take these cuts and make them not affect the district stations and trying to protect the district stations. Awesome. We know that air traffic at airports is going to be reduced for a year or two or even more, and may not even go up to the same levels of what we have been. So for you to have calculations from 2018, I think that is just wrong. I actually think that is a wrong calculation, because we will see a dip in travel And also, I don't think that it's really necessary to have a whole command staff out there. When I think about a deputy chief and what a deputy chief might do in the city and county of San Francisco, or a captain of Tenderloin Station, and yet at the airport you have such huge command staff there, I just don't think it's necessary. I'm just going to say that I appreciate your concern about keeping the airport safe. I know that everyone who goes to the airport must engage in a 40-hour training. That is very easy to do. I am not saying that this would be overnight, but I do think that the conversation about a phase-in, it's probably time to have that conversation, because as we look at our police staffing and that we try to beef up more academies, and we're funding these academies, and also we just can't rehire. And I just want to say also about the command staff is that, Chief Scott, I know that in times when we're fat, it's a different conversation than in times now. And so your command staff in 2017, when we had a $12 billion budget, might have been okay. But right now, we are not there. We're in 2020 with a $1.7 billion deficit. I actually think that for the regular, Q2s on the street, like this is what I think most of my colleagues would like is when they say they want foot beats, they want more Q2s on the street. I think that when we look at your command staff, I get that. It's important to have them for the reform, but actually, in times that we're fat, but Chief, with all due respect, the reforms have been slow, and even the California Department of Justice has said it's been slow. So justifying this increase in the command staff when actually the reforms have been going slower than even anticipated by the California Department of Justice, I think it brings up some questions about the budget.